Okay, check this out. How does he do this? One hand. Look at his left hand up in the air. He's not doing anything with it. How does he make one chord sound so good? So it's not the shredders who get invited to play all the time. It's the guys with the feel. It's the rhythm guys. Keith didn't invent this kind of thing, obviously. Chuck Berry was the guy that he learned it from. And then, you know, Keith Richards took what he learned and perfected it. So today we're going to look at how to become an amazing rhythm guitar player. So if you look at Chuck Berry here, he's the master, right? Just look at how amazing his playing is here. Look at his right hand. Okay, check this out here. So you look at his right hand there, how it's playing. You can notice it's a real specific thing that he's doing there, right? So that's the engine. He's playing the boogie woogie beat there, right? And if you become a master of this is kind of the foundation for all rock and roll. There's so much rock and roll came out of this idea, and there's a lot more to it than it seems. So the first thing is you're playing a power chord like this, right? And you notice how he's actually playing it like this, like a regular power chord. He's playing it down here. And then he's bouncing between the power chord and then the sixth like this. I'll show you a couple of different ways you can play that where you're not going to give yourself an injury. So the first thing is you can play it like this, or you can play it like this, like how he does it now. But one of the tricks to playing this is you don't have to leave your third finger locked in place. So you can kind of just raise it slightly. You can relax it when you go from the fifth to the sixth like this. When you go to the sixth there, you can just raise that finger up or relax that finger. And then that makes that stretch a lot easier. Like trying to do that stretch there is tricky. But if you just kind of relax this ring finger here, then you can do that stretch pretty easily. Even down here, all the way down here, if I try to play that F and stretch over, it's really hard. But if I relax this finger, I can do it, you know, and I've got small hands, but you can still do it. But there's other ways you can do that too. Like one of the little tricks you can do is instead of playing it like this, you can play it like this. So that little trick is basically what you're doing there is you're playing a power chord like this. And then for the sixth, you're doing this little shape here, which is a sixth. And then you're muting, which kind of naturally occurs anyway when you kind of lay your finger there. So you play it like that. I'll show you a couple more ways of doing that in a second. But the next thing, if you listen to him playing there, it's amazing. That it's like the engine of rock and roll right there, right? People often say that Chuck is playing straight and the drums are swinging. And that's not actually quite true because Chuck is actually playing it slightly swung too. He's not playing it as swung as the drums, but it's not completely straight. It's not like a heavy metal song or something like that, where it's just, you know, perfectly in time. There's still a swing, there's a bounce to it. But the way he gets that is really clever. If you watch his hand, there's kind of a move there. It's like a skippy move that he does it. And there's several reasons why he's doing that. One is for the feel, the bounce, right? What he's doing is he's accenting the downbeats. He's playing a strong downbeat like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's playing that, and then in between, he's playing the upbeats. But because he's accenting the downbeats seem louder. So you get this effect. So it gives you that bounce, right? And when you actually slow that down, because the accent is on the downbeats, it gives it this kind of like bounce feel. Like that. So there's a slight swing there because of that, but it gives it that amazing sound where it's got that incessant downbeat of the rhythm, you know, and that's what Everglades rhythm is all about. Every song that we do has that beat in it, where it's that basic barbaric beat of rock and roll. So you get that bounce going, right? And the way you do that is you're basically hitting the downbeats harder and then the upbeats softer. And it creates a feel, right? It's that little bit of a bounce. They call it the raka raka. That's the Chuck Berry beat, right? The chukka chukka. So you should become a master of that. That's like the essence of rock and roll. Do it in any key. Now, one of the other things about the raka raka, that beat, because you're bouncing between a accent and then a non-accent, or a kind of a louder, softer, what it means is you can basically do that all night. So it's got that bounce, right? You can keep going, right? Whereas if I was just doing all downstrokes at the same consistent volume, I'm going to tire out after like 30 seconds of that. But with that bounce in there, it's just kind of a natural swing to it, which just means that it's kind of on and off and on and off, which keeps the muscles from kind of like seizing up. So you can play this for a long time, just keep going. And that's when everyone's going to love you. If you can just kind of hold the beat down like that. And do that all night long. Let the shredders, have their fun. But the thing is, if you get good at doing that, where you can really hold that beat down as well, honestly, the lead guitar part is easy. I mean, if you listen to Keith Richards or Chuck Berry's lead guitar playing, it's really like an extension of that. It's right in there. If you've got that beat going, you can just go from, like for example, let's look at Route 66. And this is a great example of how, Keith Richards started to take that Chuck Berry beat and kind of expand it and bring it into a whole new universe. So that little, so that's a huge part of rock and roll, that little sound there. It's like basically going from the 4 to the 1. Kind of like, it's that idea, so you're going in A. Like that. So that's a great little riff just to practice going from the rhythm. That kind of thing. And then you can expand on that. So Keith took Chuck's sound and a bunch of other influences as well, but he did something really, really amazing with it. And one of the coolest things is, if you listen to the song Honky Tonk Woman, if you listen to this song here, so if you listen to this song here, one of the things you'll notice is his signature thing, his little secret was that he would use his guitar in a totally different way to most people. So let me switch guitars here. Good boy. Hello, buddy. So this is an ingenious way to get really good at rhythm, because basically what he'd do is he'd tune his guitar to an open G so that, when you play just that open, all the open strings, it's a G chord, right? And he'd also take off his 6th string, so he's just got 5 strings like this, right? So what that does, normally the guitar is almost like in 2 vectors, where you've got, if you break down like the cage system and all that kind of stuff, at the root of it is 2 basic chords, right? You've got a root 6, which is like this, an A chord here, or you can also play like this. And then you've got a root 5, which you can play like this, or you can play like this. And then you've got some other kind of like, half bars and stuff like that. But when you break it all down, you basically got 2 types of chords. You've got a root 6 and a root 5. So he's kind of like eradicating the root 6, and then everything on the guitar becomes essentially root 5, right? So all your chords are right here. And it's basically like what it is like the left hand of the piano. It's just like one vector where you're going to be kind of going up. Each time you lay your finger down, it's like playing a chord on the piano, and then you move up to the next one. So every fret is a chord, right? So it's almost like thinking of it in 1 dimension instead of 2. And it's basically like creativity through constraints, right? So Keith Richards built a whole career with just 2 shapes, this and this. Those 2 shapes, right? And so many of the songs, they'd be like, that kind of thing. And all that is basically just a major chord, and then you're kind of hammering on to this, which is essentially a 4 chord. And that's just a variation of... You're basically just like harmonizing that. It's basically kind of like a suspension. So it's the same thing as like on Route 66, where it's that same idea. But when you have that whole open chord with no 6th string, it takes away that extra bass note and it keeps everything really focused in this cool mid-rangey area. So it just sounds huge. One of the things you can do is it makes it really easy to play these kind of little riffs. So if you take that basic boogie, the Chuck Berry beat, Route 66, you can add in the flat 7 as well. And then, because we're in this kind of open tuning, it's really easy to jump back and forth between rhythm and lead. So for example, you can do things like that little riff. So jumping between lead and rhythm. That's one of the secrets of what Keith is doing, because he's using a lot of these little riffs and extending them and kind of dancing and weaving his guitar parts around those chord changes. And there's a whole little myriad of ways that you can play lead around that too. Like, for example, you know, one of the classic Keith Richards things is to do this little bar like, you know, so right there, all you're doing is you're playing this little kind of smoke on the water shape, right? You know, so it's fourths. And then, so it's just that little double stop shape. But you can use that all over the place. So say in the key of G, just basic open. Or up here. But you could just like have loads of fun with that shape, just basically holding your finger across two strings. You know, there's no real wrong notes. You know, it's kind of like riffing machine when you put your guitar in this. You can find all these killer riffs, right? And then another one is just like these double stops, Berry style shapes. So you can be or that. Now, do I have to retune in order to use all these cool licks? Well, the answer is no. Let me show you some other cool things. So you can get that exact same sound by just doing this shape here, right? So say if we're playing a C, play a C like this, but what we're going to do is play bar here, and then I'm going to play the bass note over here. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but it gives you that kind of same sound. You know, or another way of doing it is just basically playing the C like this. And then, so create those types of sounds. All right, well, I hope you have fun with this. And let me know what are some of your favorite Keith Richards riffs or Chuck Berry riffs. Such an amazing wealth of rhythms and feels inside this style of playing. But it's always great to hear from you in the comments. Appreciate you watching. And actually the new album is done and it's coming out very soon. It's just got mastered today by Robbie Burrell here in Nashville. And it's great. It's a tribute to J.J. Cale. It's called Sounds of Tulsa. It's all instrumental guitar in that style. So it's really fun. So I'll be sharing that on the website soon. But I hope you have fun with this. And as always, remember, turn it up.